Namaste. Uh, I am Dr. Neelambari Jagtap. The task that has been given to me is to make a make a small presentation on Deccan miniature paintings. Uh, I thank MGM University and Mahagami Gurukul and INTACH chapter of Aurangabad for giving me this opportunity to talk about Deccan miniature paintings. First of all, I would like to talk what is Indian miniature painting. Indian miniature painting are small paintings on a very small canvas. Paintings has been done, and these paintings are done from 13th century till 20th century, mid 20th century. And later, as Britishers' influence comes and medium of drawing changes, the miniature paintings gets declined. I mean, there's a very lesser production of these paintings. And what does the small canvas talk? These small canvases are talking about nature. They're talking about human relations. They're talking about portraits. And artisan has used gouache paintings, that is natural vegetable paint that they use it. The brush is very fine. There's a use of mixed media as well. You find there's a use of gold, there's a use of a little bit of silver, and a lot of natural colors has been used. Of course, the paintings are symbolic. The miniatures portraits are not exactly the presenting the human features, but they are mostly the symbolic paintings. Their eyes are very attractive. What we can call is the decorative paintings. So the nature is described even in a nature decorative way. So various subjects are also dealt in it, specifically the Baramasa. Baramasa are the paintings that talk about season, and they depict about nature in that season, human behavior in that season. Then there are paintings called Raginis, Ragmalas. Now these Ragmalas present all the Rutus, all the seasons, and accordingly the painting is expressed. And for example, if it is Diwali, so Diwali is been presented. So these are, or there is a in Raga Bhairav, there is so these are different ragas also painted. The music is also expressed through nature. So these are paintings. They are drawn on a very small canvas, not more than 17 centimeters to 20 centimeters. Miniature painting can be as small as 1 by 2 centimeter. Sorry, 4 by 2 centimeters also. And however, they are very expressive. They are very decorative. So in these paintings, there are we have divided these paintings for the study purpose according to the schools, and these schools are decided on the basis of the region that they are painted in, under the patronage they are painted in. So you have Mughal paintings, you've got Jain paintings, you got Rajasthani paintings, sub schools of it, and then there are Deckhani paintings, the paintings that were painted on the Deccan plateau. I mean, under the patronage of the kings of the Deccan. Uh, so they are called as a Deccan paintings. Now, these paintings, every school has its unique feature, different feature, mixed feature, because artists are someone who travel. They travel from court to court under the patronage of different kings. So they carry a certain kind of a hand with them, and these hand gets mixed up with the regional scenes, regional environment, regional cultural environment, regional human habits that are different than say Mughal. For example, there is a different way of life between of in Mughal court or in Dakkan court. So that way they are, the subject matters, the features that are shown in the paintings matters, and that is how you find different features that where we can categorize, we can classify these paintings into say Mughal painting, Rajasthani painting, or Dakkhani miniature paintings. So the miniature school is huge in India. You have lots of artists have sorry lots of historians, art historians have worked on it. And in Deccan paintings we find specific works of Mark Zaborowski, who has studied the Deccan school and who have shown and who have differentiated Deccani painting as a different school, a different category of school. I will present few paintings of Deccan School, and even under Deccan School you have different courts, and paintings were produced in different courts. So you got sub schools under Deccan paintings also. So that I will try to present here. So what I see here. So to talk about Deccan was ruled for 2 centuries by five sub-sultanates: Berar, Bidar, Ahmednagar, Bijapur, Golconda, which the reign was from 1484 till the from the Bahamani kingdom till the end of the Marathas. Few I will talk about it. Few earlier the Maratha school, the paintings that were produced at Maratha court was also considered as a part of Deccan, definitely because of the region that Maratha kingdom falls into a Deccan. So Mark Zaborowski has included Maratha painting. So from say 1484 till the 1818, you find Dakhan school as a separate school, or where the miniature paintings were produced. So what do we see in? So beside distinct geographical identity, Deccan also has its own distinctive art, culture, dramatics, linguistics, social values, costumes, religious beliefs, thoughts, ideas. All these are themes of Deccani miniatures that have been incorporated into by artists into a painting. So the elements of early indigenous art traditions of Deccan and the Islamic Judaism of Iran, Persia, and Turkey are also have their influence on Deccan paintings. How we will see here, we see this painting, particular painting on the slide, where you can demark this as a Deccan painting because the kind of the landscape that it portrays, and the landscape and the barren land, that gets into a category of Deccan. But at the same time, there is certain Islamic influence on the way the ground has been painted into a pale green, or pale green. Now, this pale green has been carried forward from Mughal school of painting. Definitely, this influence will be there because artisans did rather the Deccan sultanates were influenced by the some of the Mughal artists, because artists travel, and that is how you find these kind of features on the painting. Now, to divide it into a long span of 40 of this from 15th century till 19th century, the first court, the earlier court that we find is from Ahmednagar, the Nizams of the Ahmednagar, and these paintings were from the very few paintings we find, surviving paintings we find of 16th century. So the earliest example of the painting is dated from 1565, where we find 12 illustrations of Tariq Hussain Shahi, and who was he was a Nizam, the Nizam one, and he was patronaged by that particular Nizam, and we find paintings were drawn on that canvas by where you find this Dakkhani school of art. I mean, the Nizam Shahi paintings were produced, and so there are certain aspects that we can see is the way they are specially organized, the way the landscape has been shown, which do show there is a lyricism of Persian paintings from Burkha, so from Bukhara. So there is an influence of certain artists, because some junior artists, travel from some senior artists, some Mughal senior artists to Dakkan, and these sort of influences are definitely seen here. So so there these paintings are their faces, the shadow around the faces, the rounditure faces, the small eyes. So these are all show the Persian influence on earlier Ahmednagar paintings, when the artists were artist hands was trained into a museum Mughal paintings, and then they came and draw included Ahmednagar features into it and produced a new art which can be classified as a Ahmednagar School of Art. So, the next school, that is Bijapur School. Now, this school has a lot of paintings. So, Ibrahim Adil Shah from 1579 to 1627. He was a passionate lover of painting and art. He was a very good painter. He had likings for painting, calligraphers, skilled musicians, poet. So under his court there are lot of art was produced. in court of Bijapur. And where we see that even he had married his daughter to Akbar's son, Danial. And in his gifts, the gifts that he presented to Mughal court included lot of illustrated volumes that were entirely work of masters of paintings. So there was, painting, miniature painting was considered as one of the luxury, where they were presented as illustrative albums as a, gifts to the Mughal court, gifts to the Mughal court in marriage. So this was something, that high status that was given to miniature painting and artisans under Bijapur. And but yeah, and opening this 70, however, in 17th century, what we find is that there's a cross fertilization of the Bijapur painting and Mughal painting traditions. And in this artistic, there are what we see is that there's a synthesis of artisans, where they got these elements into the painting. And this sort of elements had some Central Asian, Chinese sources via Persia that were introduced in these paintings. And the painting that you are seeing on the PPT has, certainly you find that there are these sort of influences are seen. For example, look at that, the features of the costume of this yogini, or the landscape that is there. So the house, which has certain kind of a Chinese influence or punches, but the plateau, the nature, the is talking about the Deccan, the rocks that are seen in Bijapur area. These are also reflected in the natural geography, or also reflected into these paintings. So early 17th century, you also find a lot of social elements that were influencing paintings. Like there were a lot of paintings of mysterious yoginis are the female medicants who were found in these areas, who were given liberty, or you can say they roamed the Deccan. So the paintings have certain subject that they included of the yoginis. So yoginis are, a lot of yogini paintings that we find in school. So, however, as I said earlier, there's a lot of Mughalization of these paintings. Like Mughal influence was there after 1630, when Mughals who were stationed at Deccan, after 1630, you find Marathas having their, Marathas, coming up as a dynasty, and Mughal wanting it to control it, Deccan very properly, because different historical reasons that you have, political reasons that you have, where you find a lot of Mughal governance station at Nizams, at Deccan, at Bijapur. And certainly they along with them, as you know, the Mughals had very luxurious lifestyle. They carried the painters also travel with them. And these things, the lyricism, and the sense of understanding of fancy, that comes into the paintings, and that becomes a unique feature of Bijapur paintings. So so these are some of the influences that you see. And another sub school is the Golconda dynasty, which was founded in 1512, where Qutub Shahi dynasty of Golconda was rooted. And this Golconda had different Turkmen Persia type of influence patterns, which were followed in their art. So they definitely extended their patronage to Persian painters who carried out with them the master drawings, pigments, and other necessary tools of trade. And that's why the Persian um, painters patronage in Golconda dynasty. Uh, they carried their influence of Safavid, Mughal, Bijapur traditions along with them, and that mixture became the feature of the Golconda court. So possibly due to this, large numbers of example have been isolated peaks of achievement bearing little synthesis relation with each other. However, large even in literature we find there is an influence. Then Abdullah Qutub Shah of 60 who emerged as a inspired patron of art, and through his political power, he could also transform into the Mughal protector. So there are lot of influences that we see. So paintings are expressions of lot of political activities. They carry a lot of political influences when artist draws, because naturally, because unless they are patronized, they are given certain directions by a political authority, they wouldn't be drawing paintings. But so these are some of the paintings that we find in Golconda dynasty. Then another school that comes up in the Deccan painting is Hyderabad. Now this Hyderabad paintings, or the school that comes under, is that new Nizam reflected everything created in Deccan, whether it was on paper, canvas, cloth, metal. So various forms you find in Hyderabad dynasty also having its production of art. So Nizam ul Mulk, that is Asaf Jaha, was an able administrator, but he was also a great admirer of art. So miniature painting developed during 18th and 19th century. So during that period, during the Hyderabad dynasty, and where we find that more rhythmic painting started, drawing. So here you find this painting. It's a very beautiful painting of the royal woman have doing the shringar, and her Sevika has been giving her the helping her with rather with the leisure time. So you have she's having a wine, and and this lady is pouring a wine. So these are some of the cultures that we can draw from these miniatures, which are seen in this miniature. So so this is a Shrungar one. So this painting I would like to talk about, that this lady is on her terrace, and it's a toilet scene where the Shrungar is there. Her hair are open, her upper body is not covered, and so this is a very there's a you can see clouds behind, so there's a dark thing. So probably it's going to rain, and she wants to enjoy. So these are some of the paintings that you see, the melodious paintings that you can see in during the Deccan time, or during the Hyderabad school. So now this I was talking about the particularly. This is an hunting scene of Hyderabad Deccan. Around it was painted around 18th century. Now here, if you see the landscape, so the elephant are normally not very prominent in Mughal paintings or in Rajasthan painting, because elephant was not used. There, the mainly elephant for war or for games were used in Deccan. So you have only one, two horses, and of course there are horses, but there are also elephants, and these elephants are prominent here, who are probably they're practicing here. And there are two three scenes. One is that the elephants are having leisure time in the jungle, other is they are practicing or they're hunting scene. So these are, some of them are trained, and these are wild elephants. And there are you can see even in orange there is person of a hat who's wearing. So it's probably the early late 19th 18th century painting, as I mentioned here, 18th century, where you have certain Europeans as well, the traders also visiting the court of Hyderabad for their trade purpose, and probably they are being entertained here. So these are some of the paintings, and these, of course, these massive bolsters, the stone bolsters that you can see here, that are also the unique feature of the Deccan miniature painting. Now, this is Maratha painting that I was talking about. Now, these are Marathas who came into power in 1650 mainly, and from there the court was established, the Maratha dynasty was founded, Maratha Swarajya was founded. Of course, during the time of its founding years, we do not find any patronage of art here. But in 18th century, where Peshwas take over it and Peshwa expand Maratha dynasty, Marathas become one of the powerful rulers in India. Artists definitely, and the Mughal and Rajasthan have their downfall, and naturally the artisans travel to Deccan, and they sought they sought patronage under the Peshwas and Chhatrapati of Shahu, that is in Satara court. And then the subjects were drawn, the artists were commissioned to do paintings. So we find few paintings of the Maratha period also. Mark Zoborowski has included this as a Deccan school. However, in early in previous 30 50 years, there has been an attempt by art historians to make Maratha as a different school altogether, and not just include as in Deccan in general, but as a Maratha school of painting. So now here we find this painting where you have this painting has been depicting the Bajirao one and Mastani. So how do you identify that this is Maratha painting? So there are certain iconographs that we find, that we identify. Of course, there is naturally the artist traveled from Rajasthan area, so you have this Rajasthani influence over it, and you have this influence of Rajasthan here. So certain trees are drawn like the North Indian artist. Then there's this influence on costume also, the transparent costume that you see of Bajira wearing on the transparent shawl type on the top, that has certain influence of Rajasthan, or even the hookah that comes from Mughal influence. So these are some of the things that come from the Mughal culture, Mughal court culture that you see in under the Marathas. And so these are some of the influences that you see on Maratha paintings. And Maratha can be classified as a different school, different features, different iconography. But if you count as a Deccan as a region, then it comes under even a Deccani painting. Now this slide, particularly my last slide, which has an Ahmednagar painting. Now this was the Ahmednagar school which was the earliest painting that we see, where the women are having their leisure time at garden, and this lady is particularly dressed up in Nowari, Maharashtrian way style, but definitely that ghungat, the transparent ghungat, is carried forward from the north, Mughal influence or the Sultanate influence that we see, the Mughal culture influence, the Islamic culture, Persian culture influence that we see. So definitely we can classify it and categorize it Deccan as a independent school which had its unique iconographic features, and classify them as Deccan paintings. So I end my small presentation here. I guess 20 minutes were given to me. So once again, so once again, I thank MGM University Aurangabad, Mahagami Gurukul Institute, and INTACH chapter of Aurangabad for giving me this opportunity and to make my small presentation on the uh, mm, Dakkhani miniature. Thank you so much. I also would like to thank my friends, my student and friends there, who thought that I would be an apt resource person to talk on these paintings. Thank you.